Amara was running from Ola when she stepped on a nail. She screamed so loud that people came running. Her baba had no money to take her to the hospital. He tried to treat her at home, but Mommy didn't care. That was just the start of their troubles. Baba lost his job, and now they had no food. Mommy changed and became mean to them all. Amara and her brother Kofi didn't know things were about to get even worse for their family. Sorry, Ola said, rubbing Amara's head, but the more she rubbed it, the more pain Amara felt. Amara hit Ola's hand away and continued crying. The nail was still stuck in there when Baba Kojo, a tire mender who worked across the road, ran to Amara when people started screaming his name for help. He came, pulled it out, and at that moment Amara thought she was going to die because of the pain. Sorry was the only thing echoing in her head from the people gathered around her. Baba Kojo quickly hurried back to his shop and brought an old cloth, which he used to tie Amara's leg to at least stop the bleeding for some time. Come, let me carry you home, said Tayo, one of their friends, but Amara refused and managed to get up. She began limping to Baba in the market, where he sold meat. She was wailing on her way there, and until she arrived at the market, people wouldn't stop staring and asking what had happened, but she ignored them and continued. Ah, Amara, what happened? Baba asked, rushing towards her from afar. Nail, Amara managed to say amidst tears, pointing at her leg. Ah, today that I don't even have any money on me, Baba said, turning his pockets inside out. I've been begging our chairman to allow them to give me some meat on credit so I can sell and buy things for home so we can cook. And he's there telling me that since I've not been able to pay for the previous one they gave me, they won't give me another, Baba said, bursting into tears. But Amara quickly reached for his face and cleaned his tears. No problems, let's go home. At least if I don't have money to take you to the hospital, there's how our fathers used to do it those days, Baba said, and carried Amara up like a baby, and they went home. As soon as they arrived home, he quickly made some fire in the kitchen, put a stool before him, and asked Amara to come sit on it. Well, she was ignorant, so she sat, wondering what he was up to. He untied the rag that was tied around her leg, and then he rolled out a small stone that had already turned red from excessive heat from the fire, picked it up with a rag, and then dropped some few drops of red oil on the stone, facing it directly on the wound. When the drops of oil hit the stone, they sizzled like heated oil when something is dropped into it. Amara was seated there with mouth agape and was going to ask Baba what he was up to when the heated oil from the stone dropped directly in the wound. Immediately, she saw stars around Baba's head and even saw what looked like angels smiling in the sky. The pain was too much to bear that she screamed, grabbing her leg. That kind of scream could wake up the dead, and immediately Baba quickly dropped the stone and covered her mouth with the piece of rag he was holding. Easy now, what is it? Did I send you there to play? You and your brother will leave your own house and go outside to look for what's not looking for you, Baba said. Amara cried until she finally fell asleep. When she woke up, it was already past 7 p.m. She limped outside and saw Baba seated with her younger brother outside the house, with a hand on his jaw as he kept exhaling almost every 5 seconds. Baba, I'm hungry, Amara said after standing there and watching them for some time without any of them noticing. Amara, please be patient until your mother returns from work. She'll soon be here. When she comes, you guys will eat, Baba said, looking at her and then at her younger brother. Mommy? Amara asked in exclamation. Yes, said Baba. Amara said, and then shook her head. How are you feeling now? Baba asked. I don't know, but it still hurts, Amara replied. Don't worry, you will be fine, assured Baba. Baba, one day all these will be over. I'll buy you a car and I'll build you a house, said Kofi, Amara's younger brother, and Baba smiled, rubbing his head. I know, and amen. You're just 10 years old, and your sister here is 12. My prayer for you both is that you both will be successful, and may I be alive to witness it, Baba said. Amen, Amara and her brother chorused. A few minutes later, Mommy arrived carrying a black nylon bag. Welcome, Ma, Amara and her brother greeted. Welcome, said Baba, but she only turned and rolled her eyes at them. A few minutes later they went in and saw Mommy sitting on a chair with a plate of jollof rice before her and with a chicken leg on it, devouring it without minding any of them. Amara and her brother hurried to her and they knelt before her, while Baba sat on a chair staring at her with mouth bent to both sides. "Mummy, please, we are hungry," Amara said, already in tears. "If you both don't leave here this minute, I will unleash my anger on you. Did I go to work because of you? If you're hungry, tell that to your useless father here," Mommy raged, and Kofi supported Amara as they stood up and walked slowly to Baba, who already sat there crying. "Baba, I'm hungry," said Kofi, and Baba stood up from where he sat. "You're a very wicked and heartless human. I mean, which sane mother will sit like this with a plate of food before her while her children cry of hunger?" Baba raged. "Shameless man. Don't go out and hustle like many of your mates and bring money to feed your family. Are they not also your children? Aren't you their father?" Mommy queried with a mouthful. Baba, who had been staring at her, then shook his head. "Let's go. Let's see if I can get you guys something to eat," Baba said, and they all stepped outside while Mommy sat there devouring the chicken leg on her food. It was already so dark, and they didn't even have a flashlight, but Baba held their hands, and slowly they walked to the first grocery store very close to their house. Their lamp was hung outside just by the entrance of the store, while another lamp was inside the store. Baba greeted the owner of the store first, a woman, and Amara and her brother also greeted while she answered with just a nod. "Please, madam, can you give me just a loaf of bread? I promise to bring the money tomorrow when I return from the market," Baba pleaded. "I'm sorry, I can't give you. The last time I sold to you on credit, it took you almost 2 months before paying my money," the store owner replied. "I'm sorry about that, but I promise you that I'll pay you tomorrow once you give me this today," Baba pleaded on bended knees. "It won't work. Please leave. I want to lock up my store. It's my closing time," the woman said, and then Baba took their hands again and they walked out of there slowly. "Or should I carry you?" Baba said to Amara, and she shook her head. "No, I can walk," Amara replied. They walked this time to another man's shop in the other street who sold cooked noodles and all types of veggies. They all greeted him, and he responded, but with eyes glued to what he was cooking while stirring it with almost all his strength, while some people already sat on benches behind him waiting to be served. "Please, sir, I don't know if you can give me a plate of noodles until tomorrow. Not for me, but for my children. They haven't had anything to eat all day," Baba pleaded. "I'm sorry, nobody buys from me without their money." "Maybe you should check the other shop," the man replied. "I will come give you your money tomorrow, I promise," Baba said, almost in tears. But the man remained adamant. They stood there for a few more minutes, and then Baba asked them to go. On hearing that, Kofi burst into tears. I'm hungry. What do we eat now?" he said amidst tears. "But you can see I'm trying my best. Why are you making me feel as if I'm not doing enough?" Baba queried, and also began to cry. "Kofi, will you please keep quiet?" "What else do you expect Baba to do?" Amara asked in anger, and again they proceeded without having any place in particular in mind to go to. All of a sudden, they heard whispers from afar, and when they turned, it was the noodles man calling Baba. "Come, come, let's go," Baba said, and they hurried to the noodles cellar. Amara didn't even notice the injury on her leg because she was elated that they were finally going to have something to eat without paying attention to her leg. "I'm here, sir," Baba said to him, bowing his head. "You see, I'm going to give you a plate of noodles on one condition," said the man, and on hearing that, Baba turned and looked at his children with a broad smile on his face. "Okay, anything, sir?" Baba said with curiosity. "In that big basin are unwashed plates. Help me wash them, then I'll give you a plate of food," he said, pointing at the big basin of plenty of dirty dishes. "Just that. It's nothing. Is it not just to wash them so my children can eat?" Baba said, smiling, but Amara looked at him, and with a squeezed face, she shook her head. "Amara, what is that?" Baba asked, and Amara moved closer to him and whispered in his ear. "Baba, how can you wash all these dishes for just a plate of food?" "It's nothing," Baba whispered back. The man who had been staring looked at Amara and then at Baba. "Is everything okay?" he quizzed. "Yes, perfectly okay," said Baba with a smile, but Amara wasn't still okay with the idea. "I'll wash them," Amara said with a finger raised in the air. "Suit yourself. I don't care if it's you or any of you. All I want is that my plates be washed," the man replied. "No, Amara, mind yourself. I will wash them. Is it not just to wash plates? Baba said to them, and Kofi and Amara looked at each other. But sir, please give my children food first, so that while they eat, I quickly wash them, Baba said. And the man shrugged his shoulders and quickly dished a plate of noodles and handed it over. The place was almost deserted now, with just a few people still around. Kofi and Amara sat on one of the benches with the plate of food before them, while Baba began to wash the plates in a hurry. The people around stared at him, while some even shook their heads. Amara stared at the food before her in tears, but she couldn't even eat, while only Kofi started devouring it, like one who hadn't eaten for months. Baba looked up, and when he saw that Amara wasn't eating, his jaw dropped. He quickly abandoned what he was doing, cleaning his hands on his trousers, and then came to them. Amara, you're not eating, Baba said. I can't eat when you're not eating, Amara said amidst tears, and Baba squatted before her. When you eat, I'm happy. Please eat so we can leave as soon as I'm done, Baba said, and Amara nodded, and then he went back to wash the plates. When Baba was done, it was time for them to leave, and Baba bade the man farewell and also thanked him. But the man asked them to wait, gave them another plate of food, and they all thanked him on their knees. Baba asked for a nylon, which he poured the food in, and they took it home. This is your breakfast. You will warm it and eat tomorrow morning, Baba said. But Baba, what are you going to eat before going to bed? Amara asked. Me, I'm not hungry. When you guys eat, I'm okay, said Baba. That night, when it was time for bed, Baba took Amara into the kitchen and made her sit before him again. And when she turned and looked inside the fire to see the already heated stone, she began to cry. Come on, Amara. I don't have money for hospital or medications. You just have to bear it so we can do this. And you also feel better, Baba said. When the drops of hot oil landed in Amara's wound, she screamed so loudly that Mommy walked into the kitchen after a few seconds. What is it now? She asked nonchalantly, and Baba told her that Amara had gotten herself injured. Is that why you want to scream down the building? If you wake me up with your scream again, I'll come back here and give you an unforgettable knock on your head, she said, hissed, and then left, and Baba and Amara turned and looked at each other, and then Baba shook his head. The following day, Baba woke up very early to go to the market when he came to wake Amara up. Amara, how are you feeling this morning? Baba asked. Amara paused for a while, stretching her body. Baba, I'm fine. Are you going somewhere? She asked. Yes, I need to get to the market on time to see if I would be given some meat to sell today so we can at least have something decent to eat, Baba replied. Baba, you will be given some meat to sell, Amara said encouragingly. Amen, my daughter, amen. The noodles are inside the pot. When your brother is up, warm it so that you both can eat. Once it is 12 p.m., ask your brother to come to the market so I can give him a few things. I just pray I'm able to make some money, Baba said. Okay, Baba, good market, Amara replied. Thank you, said Baba, and then shut the door behind him, and Amara returned to sleep. Some few hours later, around 8 a.m., Amara woke up and managed to walk into the living room, where her brother already sat on one of the chairs, watching Mommy dressing up before the standing mirror to go to work. Amara joined her brother on the chair, and together they stared at Mommy till she finished dressing up. She looked back all of a sudden. What is it? Why are you both staring at me like that? She yelled. Now get up and get out of here, both of you. Get lost, she added, and they both left the living room in a hurry while Kofi supported Amara, and they went into the kitchen to warm their food. But is she really our mother? Kofi asked, and Amara looked at him. Well, sadly, yes. You know, since Baba lost his job, she changed overnight. I remember when we were much younger, when Baba used to give her all his salary without removing a dime from it. Mommy loved him and us so much, but when he lost his job, she changed overnight, Amara explained. Kofi then exhaled and also shook his head. Baba used to be a very happy soul, full of life and also looking so clumpy. All of a sudden, he became a shadow of himself after he was sacked, Kofi said. I just pray nothing happens to Baba now. If something happens to him, how are we going to survive? Asked Kofi, but Amara immediately cut in. God forbid, please stop saying such. If something should happen to any of them, let it be Mommy, please. She's already so useless, Amara said. Amen, Kofi replied. Amara brought down the pot from the fire, and together Kofi and she ate. A few minutes to 12 p.m., Amara asked Kofi to go to the market to at least see if Baba was able to get some meat to sell, and after he left, she began to feel feverish. She picked up the mat from the back of the living room door and she spread it before the house where she slept off. Kofi returned much later and woke Amara up, and to her surprise, he brought a big polythene bag of foodstuff. Amara's jaw dropped in awe as she sat up, so shocked. "See what Baba asked me to bring," Kofi said with a grin, bringing the polythene bag closer so Amara could see all that was inside. One after the other, she began to take items out, and they found another small bag of meat tied separately. Kofi and Amara leaped for joy. Meat was one thing that Kofi and Amara loved so much. Each time Baba brought some home, they were always elated at the sight of it. Amara jumped up immediately, and then Kofi dipped his hand into his pocket. "Take this. Baba said I should give you these, and he said that if you take them, he'll buy us a bottle of Coke each," he said, stretching forth some medications. Amara took them immediately from him, and they both went inside. That night, they had a very decent meal after a while. It happened that Baba had gotten some meat to sell, and this time it was given to him to sell without bringing back any returns. They were in the living room eating when Mommy returned, but they all ignored her. She turned and looked at them, hissed, and sat on one of the chairs, staring at her phone. After a while, she left for the bedroom, forgetting her phone on the stool beside the chair. After a few minutes, the phone began to ring, and Baba and Amara looked at each other. It rang for the first time, and they ignored it. The second time, Baba asked Kofi to go and give it to Mommy, but he blatantly refused, saying that the food he was eating was more important. It began to ring again the third time, and this time Baba stood up to pick it up so he could go and give it to her, but Amara asked him not to worry. She picked up the phone and answered it, but the call immediately ended. Then she decided to go give it to Mommy. On her way into the bedroom, a message dropped which read, "My love, I am sorry. I am already at the hotel waiting." Amara paused, still staring at the phone. She thought of going back to Baba to show him the message, but she had already turned the bedroom door handle. "Who is that?" Mommy asked, but Amara turned back swiftly on hearing her voice. Suddenly, the door opened and she looked back. "Yes?" asked Mommy, rolling her eyes at Amara. "Your phone," Amara said, stretching it forth. Quickly, Mommy came and grabbed it from her. "How dare you read my message?" she thundered, and then landed Amara a resounding slap. Amara screamed so loud that Baba immediately ran to them, asking her what happened. But Mommy began to stare at Amara, and Amara stared back, wondering if she should tell Baba what was going on or not, as she stood there staring, breathing in and out heavily. "I say, what happened?" Baba thundered all of a sudden when none of them was speaking out. Then Amara pointed at Mommy angrily. "She slapped me," Amara said, and then Baba turned and looked at Mommy. "You dare slap her, but why?" Baba asked, moving closer to her. "Who gave her the permission to pick up my phone?" Mommy asked, and all of a sudden, Baba gave her a slap. With a hand on Mommy's right cheek, she stared at Baba with mouth agape, and then she voiced out, "You dare raise your filthy hands at me? And I will do it again. What has come over you? Why are you treating your own family like they mean nothing to you? Well, it's no longer news that you all mean nothing to me, and I will make sure you regret ever raising that dirty hand of yours to slap me," she said, and then slammed the bedroom door after her. Baba stood there staring at the door with a hand on his waist, and then he shook his head. "Baba," Amara called, and he raised his head to look at her. I saw—" "Speak up, my friend. What did you see?" "Nothing." "I'm sorry for everything," Amara said. "That's okay," Baba said reluctantly, waving one of his hands, and then he turned his back and headed into the living room. Amara really felt for him. He looked so hurt and pained. If any soothsayer had told them that Mommy's character would later turn out to be this way, Amara in particular would have sworn on that soothsayer at the mention of it. They arrived in the living room, and Baba sat back with a hand under his jaw, and then raised the helm of the shirt he was wearing, cleaning his tears with it. "Baba, what is it again?" Amara asked, sitting beside him. "I can't believe this is happening to me. I never bargained for this. How on earth did I ever get myself into this? Why is your mother treating me this way, all because I don't have money?" "Baba, it's okay," Amara said with a hand around his shoulder. They couldn't even continue eating. That was how they retired to bed, including Kofi the foodie, with the food on the table even uncovered. Very early the following morning, they heard a bang on the door, and Baba rushed up to go get the door. As soon as he opened it, two police officers were standing outside with their hands behind them. "Yes, how may I help you?" asked Baba, looking at each of them. One of the officers then mentioned Mommy's name, asking Baba if that was her house, and Baba replied with a yes. Then Mommy walked out of the bedroom. "I am here. Arrest the filthy thing," she said, and immediately Kofi and Amara rushed out from where they were peeping through as soon as they heard that, both wondering who she was referring to. They arrived outside and saw Baba already being handcuffed, and Kofi and Amara jumped on the police officer, cuffing him. "Leave him alone. Leave my father alone," they both screamed, but the officers pushed them away. "Hey, are you blind? Do not push them like that. Don't you see the wound on her leg?" Baba thundered at one of the police officers, and all of a sudden he retaliated by giving Baba a slap. "Take him out of here," said Mommy, and immediately Baba was being taken away. Kofi and Amara were in tears, watching Baba being taken away, and they stood there so helpless. "You will go to that cell and stay for a few days or weeks, and when you return, you will learn never to raise your hands on anyone," Mommy said. And then Kofi ran after the police van, while Amara hurried after them, but before they got to them, they drove off. After Baba was taken away, Kofi and Amara stood before Mommy, staring at her, but she threatened to deal with them if they continued staring at her that way. Well, Kofi and Amara left the house to see if they could talk to a few neighbors if they could be of help, but they refused to help. Then they returned home so they could beg Mommy to at least help them free Baba. Arriving home, Mommy's bags were already packed. "Where are you going?" Amara asked, wiping her tears. "How is it your business?" "I'm leaving for a better life," she replied. "So who are we going to stay with?" Kofi asked innocently. "If you like, survive, and if you like, don't," she replied nonchalantly, grabbing her bags. They stood there watching as she left without even a goodbye. They both sat on the floor and wept. A few hours later, they thought of how to get Baba freed, but they didn't have money. They decided to check the trousers that Baba had returned from the market with, and lo and behold, they found the sum of 6,700 naira in one of its pockets. Immediately, they left for the police station, and even though it was quite a distance, they decided to trek despite Amara's condition. They greeted the officers on duty and explained to them why they were there, but they were told that they needed a go-ahead from Mommy, paying deaf ears to their plea. The officers also said that the money wasn't even enough to bail him if at all Mommy showed up and asked for his release. On hearing that, they went outside the police station and sat under one of the trees and cried together, despite that they hadn't even had anything to eat since morning. And then a young man came to them, and after explaining everything to him, he asked them to return the following day to meet directly with the DPO, who wasn't on seat. Well, they left, and before they reached home, it was already so late. They managed to get a loaf of bread from the money, keeping the rest for Baba's release. The next day, Kofi and Amara got up very early and headed straight to the police station. Luckily for them, the DPO was just arriving when they reached. They didn't even know that it was him. Seeing the way the other officers were rushing up and saluting him made them realize it was him. Amara greeted, rushing to him, while Kofi followed from behind. He looked back swiftly, and Amara could recognize an officer, now standing before him and saluting him, with a file in his hand. He was one of the officers who came to arrest Baba the previous day, and when Amara didn't stop looking at him, he started to wink at her with one of his eyes, signaling her so she wouldn't say a word about what was going on to the DPO. "Yes, how may I help you?" asked the DPO, who was still paused. "My daddy is here. He and another police officer locked him up since yesterday," Amara said, pointing at the other officer. Immediately he became insecure and then turned his face aside. "What was their father's offense?" asked the DPO. "Sir," said the officer as he began to shake visibly. And when he wouldn't speak, Amara explained everything to the DPO right there, and his jaw dropped in awe. "What do you have to say about what this little girl just said?" said the DPO to the officer. "Sir, sir," replied the officer, and this time with popped eyes. Without another word, the DPO reached out and slowly removed the officer's beret, and the police officer stood at attention, looking upright without a word, but visibly shaking. When the other officer resumes, ask him to report to my office, the DPO said. Okay. Okay, sir, the officer replied. And then the DPO ordered that Baba be released immediately and also gave Kofi and Amara some money before leaving for his office. A few seconds later, they saw Baba walking out from the cell, and Kofi and Amara ran to him. They all hugged so tight, and then right there, they told him about their encounter with the DPO. Baba asked that they go to his office and thank him, which they did before heading home without telling him that Mommy had left. When they arrived home, Baba, who had completely left the bedroom for Mommy from when her troubles began and started sleeping on one of the chairs in the living room, to their surprise went straight into the living room as soon as they arrived home. Kofi and Amara turned and looked at each other, without knowing how to tell him that Mommy had left, because Amara in particular was trying to avoid whatever would break him, as Baba had been thinking too much. The bedroom. Where did you people keep your mother's bags? Baba asked, coming out of the bedroom with a finger still pointing at the bedroom. She left, said Kofi with his head bowed, and then Amara sighed. Baba immediately burst into tears, falling on his knees, and almost cried out his eyes. God, if you're okay with all these things happening to me, who am I to question you? But if you're not okay with it, provide for me so that these children will not suffer, Baba prayed. Baba was so weak and down throughout, none of them even had the strength to do anything, they were just indoors. Amara remembered that night she went to buy noodles when they hadn't even eaten all day. She made it, and to her surprise, Kofi didn't eat, and Baba too refused to eat. She immediately lost her appetite and covered the pot of noodles. And that was how they all slept that night, without eating anything throughout that day. A few days later, Baba decided to go to the market, after nursing Amara's wound. But Kofi and Amara asked to follow him, as it would be too boring for them to remain at home, and Baba agreed. They were on holiday. It would have been worse for Kofi and Amara if school had been in session. They arrived at the market, and with the money they had, Baba got some meat to sell. While they both sat with him till he finished selling. They became so happy when the last pieces of meat were sold. That Sunday, they decided to go to church, as they hadn't been to church for months. They dressed up and left, and after Mass on their way home, they saw something that left all of them in shock. The first person they saw was Baba's former boss, who had gotten him sacked, with Mommy hugging and kissing in his car. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the story so far, please drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any updates. Thank you, and remember, we love you.